Before the game starts, there's an introduction to explain what happened. So there's a peaceful place where it's nice and relaxing, and then a mysterious creature comes in and takes over the planet, which they're known as stars. So the fairies panic, and apparently this creature only wants the crystal shard, which Ribbon somehow manages to escape, but then the creature sends out three and then attacks, and that's how the intro starts. Like, it's the beginning of the game. I know this is like the first time I've ever talked about Kirby64, and I don't know how long this video is going to be, but let's hope it's not that long. What are they even looking at? This game also, before it starts, is going to ask you if, do you know how to use the Kirby copy ability? The game just starts normally as Kirby's just relaxing when out of all suddenly Ribbon hits Kirby. Now that's something that's actually mostly surprising to see how Kirby gets hit. While Ribbon is trying to figure out how to get back to her star, she meets up with Kirby and she explains Kirby that her planet was taken over by something, and Kirby helps Ribbon on a quest to find the crystal shards. And Kirby's gonna bring some few friends. The gameplay is very similar to one on the Game Boy. Instead of using the analog stick on the N64, you use the D-pad, which is a good thing. Interesting enough is that the reason that the D-pad was used is so new players could be able to try the game out, and that's why the analog stick wasn't used. It's actually pretty easy to use. One thing I do have to say is that what's awesome about Kirby64 is that sure there's power, copy abilities, but in Kirby64 you have two copy abilities. You can mix two, and it's really awesome. Oh look, a mini boss. Oh, well, that was easy. And here we have Waddle Dee, the first character that appears to see a shiny rod. However, this creature, just looks at him. And of course, Waddle Dee does a victory dance, but realizes that the creature was behind him. The creature goes all the way up and actually attacks Waddle Dee. Since the creature attacks Waddle Dee, it has the ability to transform into whatever it is, so this would be the first boss that you would face. I forgot to mention that a mini boss or a boss, depending how many stars you collected, will be the boss's bar life. Even though that the first star is meant to be easy, it's like testing your skills or teaching you how to be more skilled with the game. Also, every time you defeat a boss, you get a crystal shard. But hey, the good news is that we got Waddle Dee back to normal, and surprising enough, Waddle Dee will join you as you go your adventure to find all the crystal shards. One thing I like about this game is that at the very end, you have to figure out where you're aiming, jump, and grab an item. I always felt that the cards were really interesting to see. The next stage is, of course, it's kind of filled with trees where it seems like you get, Kirby is heading to a place somewhere, interesting. But I will have to say, the more you progress on this game, the more it gets harder and it gets really good. One thing I liked about one of the power-ups is that Kirby becomes a refrigerator. Yeah, instead of buying food, you could just let Kirby turn anything into food. Wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing that Kirby makes food out of its body? The next character that appears here is a character named Adalyn. She is an artist when suddenly a crystal shard falls and she looks at it. But we already know what's gonna happen. The creature looks at her, then it attacks her, and then Kirby and Waddle Dee and Ribbon is gonna go, and then Adalyn is being controlled, and the fight begins. Although I do have to say, this actually is a really interesting boss because apparently it uses bosses from previous Kirby games. I think mostly Kirby's Dreamland 3. What I like about the enemies that Adalyn summons is actually art. Imagine that. I mean, wouldn't that be, well, then again, it'd be pretty creepy to see art like actually come out of come to real life. That would be really weird. What the crap is she drawing? Look at that! I'm not even censoring this. Look at that! Look at that behind what she's drawing. It's blurrish. I don't know what that thing is, but it's. People are gonna accuse. I hope this video doesn't get age restricted. Next up, we face against is a blue dragon. It has the ability to shoot eyes, but it's actually easy to beat. The dragon is mostly easy to beat, so it's easy and, you know, it's very effective. Then she summons a drawing from what appears to be one of the forms of the final boss from Kirby's Dreamland 3. This would be the last drawing, and after that, of course, she would attack you. And even if she tried to attack you, it's a one-hit KO. At first, I thought it was just, you know, I was gonna hit her multiple times, but it's a one-hit KO. After we get the next crystal shard, Adalyn wakes up and she's back to normal. And seeing that Kirby, Wallaby, and Ribbon work together, Adalyn joins on the team. So after Adalyn says that she'll join with Kirby, Kirby and Wallaby gives a high five and they start running to find the next partner. I wonder who's going to be the next partner. This stage actually has a fortress, so it's, you know, it's a fortress. You know what, I'm just going to say it's King Dedede. The next character that it's King Dedede. He sees a crystal shard and then not lets Kirby touch it. If anyone's asking, yes, that's the same King Dedede that we faced on the Game Boy review of Kirby's Dreamland. Although I do have to say is that the creature comes in and then this time grabs Dedede. And this is the next battle. You basically fight King Dedede. Usually, Kirby would have to swallow kind of like what he does in Kirby's Dreamland 1, but if you have the power-ups, they're very effective. I forgot to mention that. But King Dedede isn't over, as he's going to be flying and attacking. Wouldn't you love a King Dedede balloon for about $1? Okay, I thought we were playing Kirby's Dreamland, not King Pac-Man Dedede. You know, I've seen gameplays of Kirby's Dreamland 3, and this is reminding me a lot of that battle of Dedede and Kirby on Kirby's Dreamland 3. Maybe it was originally planned to be a remake. Of course, you also have the ability to take, you know, pull out the double copy ability, and you can throw it like I did to Dedede. After getting that crystal shard, King Dedede is back to normal, but as Dedede, he doesn't want to join with us. But then, after thinking, he realized, okay, you know what, I'll just join them, let's see what they can do. The first boss is the same one that's like Kirby's Dreamland. The only difference is that it throws apples and also can pull out roots or, you know, attacks. I like how Kirby does, like, just says hi to you. Then you got this level where it's basically like the door closes, the sand rises, and you have to get all the way to the top. You cannot end up trapping yourself, because if you do, you will lose a life and you have to start all over. There will be enemies, so your best option is, you know, to take them down. That's about it. I will say the music's actually really amazing in Kirby64. I know, you know, it's a game from the 2000s, but you gotta admit the music is so good. You're starting to notice the bottom of the screen where there's different designs. That's because I'm changing it every time I'm talking about, and depending what level I am in. One thing I didn't like about Kirby64 is obviously losing to a boss. Do you want to know why? In every level before the boss, you basically lose a life. We get that a lot, but you start at the part where you left off. But facing a boss, you actually start from the very beginning. This is even since I was a kid, I didn't understand that. By the way, the last star was a desert star. This one is a water star. I'm not saying the stages because I want, anyone who wants to try the game to, they could see what the name of the low stars are. Then you got this point where it's like the water is just pushing you forward. And also you have to be really careful because if you hit one rock, since I have 2 HP right now, I'm going to be screwed up and I have to start all the way over to that point of the game. As a kid, I've always thought that the boss that you're facing right now is a shark, but the more I realized it, I realized that's not a shark. One thing that will really struggle you is that if you have a power of a copy ability and you accidentally, about to take it out but you put it back in, there's no way you can get it back in. The only way to defeat this boss is by throwing it or swallow something and shoot it. The next stage that you're about to see is, of course, a lava stage. Well, technically it's like an island, but obviously you can see the minecart, which still reminds me a lot of Donkey Kong Country. I'm really shocked that King Dedede is helping us. Usually he hates Kirby a lot, but for some reason, he's actually helping us a lot. It's actually pretty cool. It's much fun than staring at the art than this. I'm just joking. The art cover is amazing. I also love the fact that Dedede does this, I think, 3 times. Wow, I just spoiled that. Now there's no turning back. Then you got this part where it looks like it's just regular, but then the lava just comes up. Like it's gonna follow you, and to be honest, I felt it was pretty cool to talk about it. If I had to give you guys any tip, never use copy abilities because there's a chance you could lose a life. That's all I can give you on the tip on this part of the game. The next boss is actually very powerful. It has the ability to make pillars, just don't ever stand on one if the pillar goes up. Or should I say the lava arms just reach it, throws up in everywhere, just don't do it. Playing as a kid, I've always was so mad at this boss, but now looking at it, look at his face. He just wants some hug. Can you give him a hug, please? Please? The next stage is what seems to be a frozen edition of the Earth. Supposedly, many people have spread the theories that the picture that I'm showing you right now is what would happen if the Earth used something that would make it so frozen and machines would take over. Gee, I never heard of that one before. But hey, at least it's not a theory from MatPat, because if that was, it would have ruined Kirby64. Then you got this level where it reminds me a lot of the malls. Have you ever been to a mall? Yeah, this kind of reminds me of that, but except there's no people and there's like enemies that want to beat up Kirby. But hey, look at the bright side. There's free food, so that's cool. The next area is more around based on factories, so yeah, it's a factory. I also want to point out that this was the hardest level I've ever faced. As a kid, it's really hard for me, and since I played this again, I noticed how hard it was and how really difficult it became. I just love showing everyone how much Dedede supports Kirby. It's just fun to show that. It's really cool to see that. Look at these machines. They have a hammer on their head, and how are they able to move that? If you thought that was enough, then check this out. It's like squishing you. It's basically one of those games that basically you have to head to a safe place really fast before you die. The boss you face against in this level is a robot. At least it's way better than the Transformers from Michael Bay. The next part, what's interesting about this is that the robot actually has a transformation. It goes into a hybrid of a crab and a beetle and a robot. Look at that. Kirby's just trying to hug him, but it's being pushed away. It's more pushed away other than blown away. This stage seems familiar. In fact, it actually reminds me a lot of the first stage from the first star. Or world, whatever it's called. Ugh, this music, it's reminding me a lot of Castlevania. You know, this reminds me a lot of a game I play every single time on the 3DS. A game that most everybody knows, where all fighters fight against you. And here we are at the final battle. Now this is gonna be the hardest one. It's supposedly like a monster that it has the ability to use every element that you can use. And in order to beat it, you have to use the same element as it is. And that's Kirby64. What a great game. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Oh, you know what? What I just showed you, what I'm just presented to you all was the bad ending. In order to beat it, you need to get all the crystal shards. The final battle is one of the really kind of interesting and kind of creepy, but it's pretty cool to see that there's a true ending on this. However, in this battle, you do not receive any power-ups. No fire, no boulder, no rocks, no electricity, no ice, no boomerang, and yeah, the ones that you usually use for copy abilities, those are not included there. It's probably because the game wants to test all your luck without power-ups, similar to what Kirby's Dreamland would be. Oh look, it's King Dedede, and we'll take our friend with us. However, we do get a power-up, but look at the... oh, well, it's... okay, never mind, it's now a monster. What you gotta do in this battle is shoot at the eye and make sure to never touch the projectiles that the monster is, shooting. I do have to say, the background reminds me of a game I played. I don't exactly remember, but I'll probably think about it some other time. But anyways, back to the battle. So what you want to do is make sure the eye is you hit the eye so much that it'll like close it, aim at the ring, and then you have to aim at its true weak spot. However, this battle is not going to be easy, so yeah, it's like intense, really intense. The weakness seems to be like some kind of green roots. I don't know what is up that. I don't know, but once you do, the battle's finally over. And that's about it. That's Kirby64 and the Crystal Shards. I will be honest, I don't usually play a lot of Kirby games, but this had to be one of my favorite Kirby games. Sure that it's a 2000s games, I've mentioned it before, but it felt like it was a game from the 90s. Like it came out like 1999. I felt like that's what Kirby64 was for me. It's my opinion, but the game is actually really amazing. The game is great. I love the copy abilities, the merging two, which is a cool idea. I love changing the designs where it says the life, the health, and the copy ability, and how many stars you actually collect. At the very end of the credits, you'll see some art from the game, which is really cool. Now, many people have actually questioned me, why didn't I review Kirby's Dreamland 2 or 3 if I did Kirby's Dreamland? Well, here's the backstory. So, I promised I would collab with a friend who, he's still not a YouTuber yet, but we promised each other we would work on Kirby64. He did a really few bad things, and this got out of hand, and I originally wanted my friend Solocarax, and it didn't work out great, but I was actually able to work on this Kirby64 review. Now, I will say, because my friend screwed a lot of things up, like I did a 20th birthday party. Yeah, it's something I kind of did to relive the nostalgia feeling. You know how you're a kid and you like want to have a birthday party? That's what I did when I was 20. He spoiled all the gifts, and then later on he went one step too far because I invited him to my party. He didn't invite me to his party, and this is also the reason why I decided I would take him out of Kirby64 and I would do the review by myself. But I'm TheClayberry, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Also, my friend made fun of Joshi. Nobody ever makes fun of Joshi when I'm around.